All right, let's get into this. It's going to be deep. Try to stay with me. Some of y'all guys, it's going to be a little hard sometimes because some of y'all can't take information going all over the place and put it all together. I'm going to try to explain this as well as I possibly can. Remember, there's a couple things. One, this isn't like just so black and white. There's a lot of gray area in here. And the gray area is kind of where fishing sometimes lies. So we're going to talk about the Elite Series day one. It is not over yet. I'll be honest with y'all. It's 1 o'clock. I'm doing this at 1. I've got somewhere to be at 3, and I got to get this video out because I want to explain what I've seen so far. So this is from 1 o'clock. I have not watched all day long. I've got stuff going on. I've got to go do stuff at 3. I caught quite a bit of it this morning. I've not seen everything, so I'm going a little bit off of what I've seen, what's going on. And then just you can look a lot and tell what's going on just by the results and what you've seen so far. So here we go. What I've seen is this. It is pretty interesting. They got the Angler of the Year races, and that's what they're covering all. I'm not too worried about that in the sense of that this is day one. I'm not too worried. That's going to play itself out. What I see from the Mississippi River, which I've never been, I think is always intrigues me. I'm a frog guy. I would love to go down there. I like throwing a swim jig. There's a couple of things that, it's a big and vast area, so I'm always curious as to how they find some of these places. Are these places like known about? Are they community holes to degrees? Or are they like areas of like, hey, this is where you go? Things like that. Here's what I'll say. They've got the camera on a couple guys. So all I'm looking at is what we've been able to see. I'm trying to fill in the holes as best as possible, right? Because we don't see all the coverage. And then I'm looking at Bass Track and what everyone's got. So Bass Track does a fairly good job. And I mean by that is like there's like 7 or 8 guys that they don't even have coverage on or whatever. So we're just going to go into this. Okay. There is definite a group of guys that can LiveScope and guys that choose. Everyone on the Elites probably can LiveScope, right? But there's better LiveScopers than non-LiveScopers. And there's also better fishermen. And when I say fishermen, there's also better fishermen that like when it becomes just a fishing thing and you take LiveScope out of it, they seem to do better. This is not right. This isn't a knock on anyone. This isn't for or against. I'm just stating this. This is obvious. Like go look at the results over the years. It's pretty obvious, right? When it's not a LiveScope deal, some of these guys seem to shine better. And when it's a LiveScope deal, some of these guys seem to shine better. Here's the other thing too, and I talk about this a lot with LiveScope and how we go about like fishing. So many people get caught up on just LiveScope as like, oh, well, everyone has it, you can go do it. Yes. Everyone talks about LiveScope and getting your settings in and knowing what baits throw. That's irrelevant to me. Like once you've LiveScoped a little bit and done all that, you realize that, yes, that's the beginning. What's hard is this. This is what most people struggle with LiveScope. Leaving everything they've ever known behind and going out on a body of water and saying, this is what I'm going to go do. Now, if you're just goofing around, if you just show up to your lake and you're like, I'm just going to go LiveScope all day long, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you've got 2 or 3 days and you're fishing for $100,000 and Angler of the Year and all these different things, you're having to go figure out LiveScope. You're having to go say, all these years I've ever fished, I'm going to strictly go LiveScope. That is difficult. That is difficult for all of us. Kind of vice versa too. All these younger guys that have kind of grown up with LiveScope and had more success with LiveScope than regular fishing, they're going to go LiveScope and not worry about the fishing part as much, right? You can't do both. And what I mean by you can't do both is you can do both, but it takes away. Like LiveScope is so much different than fishing. It takes away from either or. You can do it, but in half in practice. Now you got a day and a half to go regular fish and a day and a half to go LiveScope, where you got to have a LiveScoper fishing for 3 days practicing, and you got fishermen fishing for 3 days. What I mean by fishing, y'all know what I mean. Okay, I'm separating the two. This tournament just looks awesome. Like, you got guys doing all kinds of different things, and this is what I think is great for Bassmaster. Tournaments like this. I think for fishing and everything, these are the best tournaments by far, hands down. They're the most fun to watch. No one cares if no one's catching freaking 9-pounders. That's not it. You got, from what I've seen, even like, we'll start off with Trey McKinney. Seeing Trey McKinney throwing a swim bait, throwing a topwater. Polinick, I saw him throwing a drop shot. Johnston throwing a frog. Then he was doing something else. So, I didn't really ever see what Tucker Smith was throwing. He was throwing stuff on bottom. Like, all these different techniques. That was fishing. This was what this was cool. To watch guys, what was so cool is to watch guys and like use their strengths to go fish. And this has nothing to do with LiveScope or not. Like, fisheries like this are what's good for fishing, what's good for Bassmaster. And it's been intriguing. I've watched more of it, which still isn't a lot, but I've watched a lot of it. This is all good. Okay? This is what fishing used to be like. And once again, this is not a knock on LiveScope or not LiveScope. I'm saying this is good for the industry. This is good for fishermen. This is interesting. It's dynamic. I can use all those words that describe this whole area because I am so intrigued. I will say the knock how about this? The one knock I'll say, and this isn't Bassmaster's knock. I don't want to like harp on them. This isn't their fault. But when me and Kyle Patrick made some videos the other day and we came up with this idea, or I don't know, maybe we both came up with it, I don't know. But it was like, it'd be awesome if there was a camera on every boat. And that's all I could go through my head. And the reason I said that is because, and not the camera on every boat, the fact that they would leave sometimes a guy and I didn't want him to leave him. Everyone's catching fish, right? And everyone wants to see that. Man, for me, I wanted to see, okay, well, why is he there? Why did he choose that? Let that guy talk over time. I would have loved to have stayed on a couple of those guys and hear what they had to have said. Instead, they went to other fish catches, and I get it. But I mean, and a lot of people want to see fish catches. I'm just telling you, man, there were times I wanted to just stay on them, and they moved. I'm like, oh man, dang it. I wanted to hear more of what they had to say. Some of them were talking, and I wanted to hear what they had to say. I don't know if that's ever possible. I say that. Why is that not possible? In this day and age, within a couple years, you're telling me we can't have cameras on every boat and we're able to like log in and go, hey, I want to stay with Tucker Smith for the next 45 minutes and have him on live on mine and I get to watch that. I still think if we can get there, that's where, if we're going to keep this live thing going, I think that's the way live should be. Is I get to pick where I want to stay. I get to stay on them. I don't want to have to listen to the guys' commentary. I don't want to, you can have all that. And if you want to watch that, that's fine. Bassmaster might be scared that they look up and go, everyone's just staying on fishermen. If that's what people want to do, let them do it. But whatever. I'm not going to get into that. The other thing I saw is this. You're watching how I have always viewed LiveScope and professional fishing and this going on. Now I've said this, I've probably made 4 or 5 videos on this. Get this. I've probably made 4 or 5 videos on this. And I've never released a single one of them. There are times where I make videos and I listen back to it and I'm like, God, do I really want to have this battle today? I'm just telling you. And the battle is this. I'm gonna speak slowly, because some of y'all have maybe never heard this. When it comes to fishermen, everyone on the elites is a good fisherman. Are they the best in the country? I would say a lot of them are. I would say, I don't even know what a percentage of that is. It's like, and when I'm not talking about the BPT, I'm just saying like, yes, but some of them are going to be out. So it's not that crazy what I'm about to say. You know, like there's going to be 8 or 9, 10 guys in, and there's going to be 8 or 9, 10 guys out. So maybe are those guys? There's obviously guys that are probably are better in the country right now than on the elites, because they're about to qualify in, and those guys are about to qualify out. So there's a good chance there's a couple more. Now, I'm not the guy that thinks that there's a ton of guys out there that can beat the elites. On their bodies of water, yes. When you move around the country, no. Those guys are really good. And I'm not bringing in the BPT because I don't want to get into this whole BPT and PFL, all this stuff. Okay, I'm just going on with the elites. The thing with LiveScope and the way I look at it is that it is so much different than regular fishing that it's hard for me to sit there and say, like, that's one of the best fishermen in the country if all I can do is LiveScope and he can't fish the other way. Now, can they catch fish the other way? Yes. But what you're noticing, and what I've noticed, there's so many people that can't wait to like stick up for someone, right? There's going to be they're going to be on here like coming to bat for people, like, oh no, like, look, he caught him here, and I'm like, just hold on. I'm looking at Bass Track right now at 1:00. Caleb Coupal, Pat Schlapper, Brandon Card, Andrew Loberg, John Cruz Jr., JT Tompkins, Jay Shakurik, Austin Felix, Jordan Lee, Brian Schmidt. I don't think any of y'all are going to call 8 of those guys big-time giant live scopers. JT Tompkins, yes. Loberg, I mean, Shakurik is, but man, we've seen enough of Shakurik that, you know, he can live scope, but he catches them without it. Now, all those guys probably can catch fish live scoping, right? What I'm saying, though, is when a tournament comes around that's not live scope heavy, they seem to be in there. 11th, you got Dakota Eberry, Corey Johnson, KJ Queen, Buddy Gross, Ray Hanselman, Tyler Vett, Bill Lowen, Brian Smith, Keith Combs, David Gaston, Bo Browning, Scott Canterbury. Like, I get down to like Ben Milliken. So you got Ben Milliken, Revette, Dakota. I mean, those are more of your like live scoper guys. And all I'm saying is that, like, and I'm not saying they can't catch fish without live scope. What I'm saying is like live scope events, those guys do good. And some of these other guys don't do as good. And they can get mad at me all they want to, but like, look, we can go back and look at the results. All those guys are still in the top 30 right now. Like no one should be knocking any of this. What I'm saying is that's what I always say, is that like LiveScope changes the results of every tournament by, I think, maybe 20 to 30 to 40 places. So if a guy is really, like, maybe that guy still makes the top 40, but with LiveScope makes the top 10. Like, you would still go, he's one of the top. But all I'm saying is this: they did a survey, or not a survey, years and years ago. They did this deal where they were like, if you could put in like a 2-pounder every day in your bag, like you had a 2-pounder every day in your bag, like how much a 2-pounder every day would go, because you needed a 2-pounder. Like a 2-pounder went a long way. Like some guys didn't have a limit. Sometimes you might have had a 1/8, and that half a pound gained you this many points. It was something like 20 or 30 points at the end of the year. Like, it was huge. They were like, all the guys said it was incredible if you just added 1 2-pounder. Not a 10, a 2. And when LiveScope came out, I remember me and Hallman and all of us were going, they were doing it more than me, but they were like, man, like 1 extra fish when we were fishing. They're like, man, an extra 2.5-pounder. Like, if you caught 1 fish off LiveScope and every one of these opens and all this stuff, like how much higher you'd be at the end of the year. And we all started looking at LiveScope that way, of going, wow, that's a giant deal if you can put one of these coals, like 1 extra fish in your bag every day, like where it would end you up at the end of the year for like either trying to qualify for the elites. Well, they were talking about Shakurik on here, that like 4 ounces in one of those events would have made him the cut, and it would have allowed him to possibly move up on day 3, and instead of being 40 points behind, be 20 points behind or 15 points behind, which he might end up, if that was the case, and he was only 20 points behind, he might win Angler of the Year if he was only 20 points behind. And we're talking 4 ounces in one tournament might have made the difference. That's what my only thing with all this. And like I said, I'm not dogging LiveScope. Like it's not that thing. It's like, I just want to see I want to see the full reign of fishermen and have to deal with everything out there. That's all I'm saying. And like tournaments like this seem to make it so much more even. And it seems to like, it puts fishermen more in their place. I'm listening to these guys talk. If you listen, and I can't help myself, I listen to their comments that come out of their mouth. And it's so interesting to me. Because when they're live scoping around and stuff, you rarely hear it. You rarely hear things. But I heard a guy, and this is why I had to come make the video right now. I heard a guy, and he'd been live scoping, and that's how most of his weight was caught. You can see what their comfort level is and what they want to do. And then from there, when that stops working or they want to change, a lot of them are doing stuff that's it's not their first choice, right? And when they talk, remember, they don't know they're saying stuff. But what's going on is he's like, man, he said, man, some things, he's looking out at this vast grass and this vast area. He's like, man, it's changed a lot in here. The water's come up. I'm going to have to go figure out how to find them. Not from LiveScope or nothing. He's going to have to figure it out. And the only way to figure that out is by taking baits and like fishing around and figuring out that. Not from looking at the screen. Which, trust me, looking at the screen and finding them is not always easy as well. It can be hard. Why there's the disconnect in fishing is because you've had guys, and you can't blame these people. Like, you can't blame guys that have been fishing for 40 years, and this is the way they grew up doing it. That's what they had to figure. They would look at this vast area, and they go, man, I have to figure this out. It changed from practice, or it's the first day of practice, or whatever, and the only way to figure it out is to fish. And it's a different mindset. It's a different, it can be overwhelming. It can be whatever. And you see some of these guys that grew up that way, right? And they're in the top 10 because it comes to them quicker. They have experience. It's harder for younger guys. It's harder. It's easier for older guys that they have all that experience. I think that's why, I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to go 50-50. And I know Kyle Patrick the other day says he hopes they don't. I get it. I think some guys sometimes would just like to see that go down more. I'm just being honest. I don't mind the LiveScope video, tournaments. I mean, I don't like the North End tournaments because I just don't like them. But I don't mind the LiveScope stuff because I'm LiveScoping. I just wrote down my entire schedule, which we'll talk about for next year. So much of it's come out except the Bassmaster stuff. I don't know if I'm fishing it. But all the other trails I'm fishing. So other than one, there's one that has this different rule. They haven't made rulings on the rest of them. I don't know if they're going to get rid of any of it or I don't know what they're going to do. I think most of them are still going to have it. They're being kind of shady about it. They won't release the rules on it. But I know one is just going to have a different rule, and I like that, the TTO, where you got to go catch 5 before you can turn it on. The rest of them have all been semi-quiet about it. But either way, it's going to be in at least half our events, if not 75% of our events. I have no problem going out there and doing it. The Bassmasters and some of these trails have a unique opportunity to do something different and showcase both. That's all I'm saying. I think this tournament over the next 3 days, and I'm going to try to watch it over the next 3 days, and I'll give you all my opinion. I'll take y'all's comments, the good thought out ones, not the ones that are just ban it, and then, hey man, you old guys suck without it. No, I'm not even gonna listen to those thought out ideas and comments that have to do with this stuff, because that's what I'm doing. I'm taking everything I said in and way more, and if I added in more, I'm gonna get all these guys that are like, man, you're going around in circles. No, man, it's just not black and white. I think in complex ideas. Some of y'all that say that to me all the time are like, man, y'all take 3 things in your head and that's all you can come up with. I'm sorry. But this is a giant, it's complex. There's a lot going on in that. And I think about how it affects all these different things. It's going to affect AOY. It's going to affect lure sales. It's going to affect viewing, Bassmaster. I can go on and on what it's affecting. Heck, it's affecting this video. But that's what I've noticed so far today. And I'm intrigued. This is a good tournament. I mean, this is going to be one of the best ones of the year. I promise.